What is the worst modifier in the Chaos mode in Clash Royale? Was it the Expo mod which didn't even connect to the tower? Or is it the Elixir Golem mod which gives your opponent free elixir all the time? So today, we're ranking the top 20 worst modifiers in the entire mode, the ones that you get stuck with and immediately regret because it gives you negative value, to be honest, and the top 5, it's gonna be statistically backed as well. Let's go. Coming in at number 20, we got the Flying Machine, but the Epic mod. So the Flying Machine in the Chaos mode has 3 modifiers. The common one doubles the attack speed, which is quite decent. The rare one spawns goblins every few seconds, which is a lot worse, but I'm gonna save that for later. But the Epic mod, it turns it into an Inferno Dragon. And I know exactly what you're thinking. The Inferno Dragon is a good free-to-play card, but why is it here? And here's the thing. The Flying Machine costs 4 elixir, the Inferno Dragon costs 4 elixir, so you're technically spending 4 elixir on a Flying Machine and getting a card that you could have just put in your deck directly. There's literally zero upside, and it's the Epic mod making it super niche to get any value. The Inferno Dragon and defense isn't even that strong in this mode because everything has so much health and there's always many reset cards, especially the E-Wiz and E-Spirits. And in my opinion, you gotta spend 4 elixir on a card that needed an epic mod to become mediocre, and that's just not right, man. Coming in at number 19, we got the epic modifier for the Mother Witch. Okay, so the Mother Witch's whole thing is that she curses troops and turns them into hogs when they die near her. The rare modifier makes the hogs die and curses everything around it. That's cool, a bit of extra value. The common one spawns double the hogs per kill, which is actually quite useful sometimes when you think about it. But the epic modifier makes the hogs she spawns become Mother Witches themselves, which is so pointless in my opinion. In games, this actually never works out because the secondary Mother Witch dies immediately to literally anything. They have no health, man, before they accomplish even a single thing. Let's be honest here. It's one of those modifiers that sound broken in theory and is completely useless the moment you actually try to use it. I genuinely got excited the first time I picked this up, and then I saw it do nothing for the entire game, and the Mother Witch is just way too weak, to be honest. Coming in at number 18, we got the common modifier for the Goblin Barrel. So we've talked about the Goblin Barrel's epic modifier, which is genuinely broken in my previous video, and honestly it might be one of the best mods in the entire mode. But the common modifier adds a fireball damage and impact when the barrel lands. And it sounds decent, but when I tried using it, the fireball just went in so early that it really doesn't take care of the counters to the Goblin Barrel. The Goblin Barrel's whole identity is the goblins inside it. The goblins are the real threat. And in this mode, the fireball doesn't really change the fundamental counters to the Goblin Barrel. People are still using the E-Spirit, people are still using the log, and the fireball chip does like 100 damage to the tower, and your goblins still die to the exact same thing they always died to. In a mod where rare modifiers can make cards permanently stunned or spawn like 12 E-Barbs from a hut, this feels super weak, man. Coming in at number 17, we got the common modifier for the Fireball. The Fireball is already one of the weaker cards to run in the Chaos mode, according to pretty much anyone who's played it seriously. It's a reactive spell in a mode that rewards proactive and continuous value if you think about it. And the common modifier makes it leave a burning patch on the ground after it lands, and it looks more like Splash, to be honest, or a larger Splash when I first played with it. Look, it's not terrible, but it doesn't feel strong compared to the other mods. I picked this modifier in the Chaos mode thinking it would be decent, but it actually doesn't make the cut at all, and I like the E-Wiz epic mod or the Dark Goblin epic mod. Before we move on to the next tip, make sure to like and hype the video and join the Discord group, which is linked in the description of this video, where we talk about everything. Coming in at number 16, we got the common modifier for the Rocket. The common modifier triples the radius, that's cool, bigger splash is fine, and at least it's something. But the core problem with the rocket in this mode is not the radius, it's the cost and the travel time and the instant impact it can create and the number of times you can use it. Making it hit a bigger area doesn't fix the fact that it costs 6 elixir and takes a second to arrive, and you need time to get the elixir back. So basically, you can just use a regular rocket instead of the common mod, as it does the exact same thing, unless you're constantly chief padding your rockets and just missing it completely. Coming in at number 15, we got the common modifier for the Ram Rider. The Ram Rider is a decent card, her snare is useful, the charge is strong when it connects, and the roll, but the common modifier just doubles the charge damage and that would be good except for just one problem. If you play Chaos mode even a little bit, everyone has buildings and reset troops all the time. The charge damage being doubled doesn't really change anything because the things you need the Ram Rider to deal with are just everywhere and it rarely connects. Trust me on this, guys. It's not terrible, but it has way too many counters at the moment, which makes it feel weak. Coming in at number 14, we got the rare modifier for the flying machine. So this is the rare modifier for the flying machine, which spawns goblins every few seconds while it's alive, and honestly, it's so boring, man. The spawn rate is so slow. By the time you get a meaningful number of goblins, your flying machine is pretty much dead. The thing with the flying machine is that it's a relatively fragile card. It gets taken out quickly in this mode where everything is strong and there are some broken modifiers making troops shoot sparky shots and chain stunts across the whole board. When you have mods like that, this card is not gonna survive, man. So your goblin spawning card gets killed before it even spawns any goblins to matter, and you spent a modifier slot on a troop that produced maybe like 3 or 4 goblins before it dies. That's not the way to go, man. Coming in at number 13, we got the epic modifier for the Berserker. The common modifier triples its hits, which is very useful. The rare gives it that bandit dash, which is strong, but it's alright. But the epic mod makes it heal on attack, and healing on attack sounds great until you realize the Berserker dies to basically anything, as it's cheap and low HP as well. The fundamental problem is that the heal on attack is only useful if the Berserker survives long enough to take damage and heal it back. It sort of reminds me of the Evo bats, but in a mode where there's the E-Wiz chaining the entire board, the Knight modifier stun locking everything, the Berserker gets deleted before the healing has any impact. In a mode where nothing survives long enough, except for maybe the Golem mod, which is broken, man. Coming in at number 12, we got the common modifier for the Goblin Hut. The common modifier doubles the sight range, which means that more goblins are spawned. In a mode where buildings can spawn literally every spirit in the game, or produce eaves from huts, or spawn goblin demolishers, a sight range increase on a Goblin Hut is so far below the power level of everything else just happening in this mode. I genuinely forgot I had this modifier once for about 4 minutes because it made absolutely no impact on the game whatsoever, because it pretty much got cooked by Splash and all the spells in this mode. Don't get me wrong, the other mods for the Goblin Hut are pretty solid, but the common modifier, it's not gonna work out, man. Coming in at number 11, we got the epic modifier for the Elixir Golem. So the Elixir Golem already has a downside of giving Elixir back to your opponent. It gives your opponent Elixir when it dies. So in this Chaos mode, the modifiers try to make it worth it, and I'm not sure about it, man. The common spawns 2 extra Golemites, which gives you even more bodies. The rare one gives you Elixir back when it dies, which kind of solves the fundamental downside of the Elixir Golem. That makes sense, but the epic modifier makes the Golemites evolve back into larger versions, which is the biggest problem, and in my opinion, if you choose this, you just lose instantly. Any card with area effect just wipes the entire chain instantly. The E-Wiz, the Baby Dragon, to be honest, any card with a good mod, with Splash, just looks at your evolving Golemite chain and just deletes the whole thing in one hit, and you're literally toast to a counter push because you gave your opponent infinite elixir. So this, in my opinion, is the worst out of the lot. Coming in at number 10, we got the common modifier for the Tombstone. The Tombstone is a card I genuinely like in Clash Royale. It's a good defensive building, spawns skeletons, distract troops, and decent value overall. But in Chaos mode, the double spawn speed modifier is just not relevant. Skeletons in this mode die to splash damage from absolutely everything. There's so much area damage flung across this game mode that your extra skeletons just get wiped out by the constant damage of whatever's happening on the board. You're spawning skeletons twice as fast, and to be honest, they're dying twice as fast. So the net result is pretty much the same. And in a mode where every other modifier is doing something actually interesting or broken, the double skeleton spawn speed is just weak in my opinion. It's a modifier you look at and immediately not care most of the times when you go up against it. Coming in at number 9, we got the common modifier for the E-Spirit. The E-Spirit common modifier in the Chaos mode, you see triple the jumps and think triple the stun potential, but honestly, after watching it in a lot of games, I don't think it really does anything insane. The main reason is simple. There just aren't many swarm troops in this mode to get a lot of value. In most of the situations, an E-Spirit is already enough to do the job. It clears the support troops, It clears the small troops, resets the attack, chains through the targets, and gives you the value you need. That's why the common modifier doesn't really make much sense to me. It looks flashy, but the actual impact is pretty underwhelming compared to the other mods that completely change how a card functions. Coming in at number 8, we got the rare modifier for the Goblin Barrel, and this one's a hit or a miss. So the rare modifier for the Goblin Barrel spawns 2 barrels at once, so basically you get double the goblins. But here's the problem. 2 barrels means 2 separate groups of goblins landing at slightly different times, and in Chaos mode, your opponent usually has spells. Or I must say, they always have spells. One log just kills both groups and every other card in this mod, and every other card in this mode has a zap effect, which makes it super hard to get value because of the meta. So having 2 barrels makes it easier to counter in some situations, but as I said, if you can get the right sequence, you can get a lot of value at the exact same time. Coming in at number 7, we got the rare modifier for the Fisherman. The Fisherman is a situational card at the best of times. His whole thing is hooking a troop and pulling it towards him and then attacking it. It's decent enough for pulling troops away from the pushes. The rare modifier lets him hook air troops as well, and I know it seems useful. More targets means more value, right? But here's the thing. Air troops in Chaos mode are mostly flyers that either die quickly or don't need to be pulled because pulling them doesn't actually do anything. Pulling a lava hound towards your Fisherman doesn't help you. Think about it. Pulling a balloon away from a tower is good sometimes, but the Fisherman himself can kill the balloon before it does the damage anyway. And most of the air threats in this mode aren't dealt with by pulling them closer to you. To actually deal with air troops, you gotta have air counters, and that is why this card is not it. Coming in at number 6, we got the common mod for the Rage. The Rage spell in Chaos mode has some solid modifiers. The Epic gives it a permanent rage buff to all troops, which is genuinely strong. The Rare increases the speed boost significantly, but the common mod, it just increases the radius, and that's what I think is boring. And this is also the fundamental problem with buffing the radius on the Rage. The Rage already has a pretty large radius in the base game or the regular Clash Royale mode. It covers your whole push when placed correctly. So when you think about it, the radius is not the limiting factor on the Rage's effectiveness, and sometimes you can even activate the King Tower with how big of a radius you get with this mod. Coming in at number 5, we got the common mod with the Barb Hut. The Barb Hut with the double spawn speed sounds amazing at first. More barbarians, more pressure, right? But let me ask you this. What are you actually spawning more of? It's just regular barbarians, which are not even in a good spot. So instead of overwhelming your opponent, you just give them more value, and that too for 7 elixir, and I saw the stats on Royale AP to back it up as well. This has one of the lowest win rates in terms of modifiers. Meanwhile, the rare mod version is with the E-Barbs, and it spawns E-Barbs, man. In my opinion, that's one of the best mods in the entire mode, hands down, and this common mod feels so weak in my opinion. Coming in at number 4, we got the epic mod for the Witch. When you hear Evo skeletons, it feels like an upgrade in terms of the Evo aspect with the Witch, but in Chaos mode, that's just not the reality, man. The mode, again, is filled with a lot of splash damage everywhere. Baby Dragon, E-Wiz, spells, just everything designed to hit multiple targets at once, and that shuts down what the Evo skeletons are supposed to do with the Witch, because at the end of the day, they're just skeletons, man. Even if they survive the initial interaction and start getting value, your opponent can just drop a log or literally any small spell and they're gone. All that extra value disappears in 1 second. And it's just not me, man. The stats back it up. The epic mod for the Witch is sitting around 36% win rate on Royale API right now. Literally the 4th lowest. You know what's the craziest part, guys? It's not even the Witch that's the problem. Her rare modifier spawns guards, which is actually quite strong, and this one just feels so weak for an epic mod, and it feels like the rare mod is better, which shouldn't be happening. Coming in at number 3, we got the common mod for the Giant Snowball. The Giant Snowball has a 300% knockback, which feels insane. You can hit a group of troops and just make them fly back or just push back, and everything resets and you're safe, right? Not really. Because in Chaos mode, everything is so fast and overwhelming that pushing troops back doesn't actually solve anything. You didn't stop the push. You may be delayed it for like 2 seconds, but if your opponent has a broken mod, you're cooked. Bro, I can't even lie. I used the epic mod for Suspicious Bush, and it spawns 4 brawlers, and there's nothing you can do about it, man. And here's the bigger issue. In my opinion, the Chaos mode doesn't really have a middle ground. You're either getting completely overwhelmed on defense, or you're the one who's dominating on offense and just cooking everyone. And this is backed by stats. This modifier has a 33% win rate on Royale API, making it the third lowest in the mode right now. So even though it sounds powerful, it really doesn't change anything, man. Coming in at number 2, we got the epic mod for the mortar. The first time you face an invisible mortar, it feels unfair. You can't see it, your troops ignore it, and suddenly your tower is taking damage out of nowhere. But literally, chaos mode is pure chaos. There's so much happening on the board, troops everywhere, spells flying, and just constant pressure everywhere that it's actually hard for the mortar to get real value if you think about it. Even if you don't immediately spell it, the mortar struggles to lock on consistently. There's always something distracting it, blocking it, or just overwhelming the lane, and as far as I've seen, it's impossible for it to connect. So instead of getting a solid connection, it kind of just sits there barely doing anything. And that's why this modifier sits around 31% win rate on Royale API, even though I didn't believe it at first. And finally, at number 1, we got the rare modifier for the X-Bow. And look, man, I'm not gonna take much of your time here. When I first used this card, it didn't even connect to the tower in a key situation where I had a free lane and pretty much free damage if just the X-Bow connected, and that's where I decided this mode goes straight into the number 1 most useless mod in the entire game. And when I checked the Royale API stats, it made sense, man. It had a 30% win rate on Royale API, and that's where we draw the line. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you want to know how to use any Clash Royale deck style and instantly be better than 99% of the player base, click on this video. Bye.